In this webinar, we're going to talk about the differences between receiving off of a purchase order and receiving without a purchase order. Either way, when you're receiving, at the top right-hand corner of your organization level, you need to be at that store that you're going to be receiving the merchandise in. So the first part we're going to talk about is receiving without a purchase order. So you'll go to Inventory, Receiving, and Receive Stock Without PO. So this will bring you into the Receive Stock Without PO screen. You have three different tabs here: the General, the Scanning, and the Upload. So there's basically three different ways that you can receive merchandise directly into your inventory. You will use this screen if you're receiving merchandise into your store that you have not put on a purchase order. All you strictly want to do is receive it into your inventory. So the first part is bringing up the SKU number. So you can either type that into the right of SKU in the quick lookup or use your quick lookup and look it up. Once you bring up the SKU, you're going to decide how you're going to receive it in. If you just want to receive it in manually, maybe you have a packing slip in front of you and you're just going to manually plug in the sizes, then you'll stay on the General tab. And you'll see that the size type will pull up with that size grid. Now you can go to those particular sizes and put in the quantities that you're wanting to receive. If you wanted to look at the on-hands, what are currently in your system, you could click on this checkbox to the left of Show On-Hand Quantities if you want. And that's going to show any on-hand items already in your system. It'll show it in green. So it looks like there's only one item on hand right now in a size 7B. So when you're done putting in the sizes that you want to receive directly into your stock, put in those quantities, and then you can just click on the Save button down at the bottom. If you were not printing labels and you already had the UPCs in your system, like manufacturer barcode UPCs, you already have those UPCs in where you can scan them directly into your system, then you could click on the Scanning tab up at the top. This is basically used if you have a scanner attached directly to your computer, or you have one of those wireless scanners where you're scanning the barcodes. Then the cursor would bring you to the UPC and you could just scan each item. If you have 5 to 10 items, you can just scan, 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 and it will automatically save them and put them down on this list down below. That's if you have the auto save feature in your scanner. When you're done scanning the last item, the last item will display here. That'll be in your active area. You can click on the Add button. And then down at the bottom, there is a Save button. So if you're just strictly wanting to save, you don't need to print labels, you can click on the Save button. If it's something that you do need to print labels for, additional labels with prices, then you can click on Save and Print Labels, and that'll save what you just received, and it'll bring you right directly to the print label screen. Each time you scan something, it will bring this into the active area. Once you scan your next item, it'll bring whatever's in the active area down below, and then again it will list the very last item that you scanned up here. That's your active item. And then, like I said, when you're done scanning the very last item, you can just click on this Add button. And if you're ready to save it and put it directly in your inventory, just click on Save and that puts it into your inventory. You can also click back and forth between UPC and SKU. So maybe you didn't want to go to the General and manually put it all in. Maybe you're scanning the majority of it, but there was a barcode that couldn't scan quite right. So then you can click on the SKU and then just pull up the SKU number and put in the size and add that and save it. Either way, this makes it easy to go back and forth between the UPC and the SKU. And the last option is Upload. So if you have one of those portable data collectors where you can just scan the items in that portable unit and you can upload that from the reader, then this is the option that you would use. Right now there's only two options. There is a Percon PT2000 if you have one of those, or the Metrologic SP5500. And you can just select that. I'm going to do Upload from Reader, and you can choose the COM port that it's attached to. And if you have never done this before and you do have one of these readers, just contact our support department and they will help you do the install part of it and test it to make sure everything's good to go. And then you can just click on Get Data from Reader, and those will upload your receipts right directly into the system. Most people will use the General tab, where they have a packing slip in front of them and they're manually entering in exactly what they're receiving for each size, like down below. And then when you're done, you can just click on Save. That saves that. That'll put it directly into your inventory. So that's how you receive merchandise directly into your stock without it being on a purchase order. Now the next part of it is receiving from a purchase order. You have ahead of time entered a purchase order. Maybe you went to a market or one of your reps came in and you placed an order with them and you entered it on a purchase order. And now that order has come into your store and you're ready to receive it. To do that, you're going to go to Inventory, Receiving, and Receive Purchase Orders. This will bring you into the Receive Purchase Order screen. And again, make sure that you're at that correct store number up at the top right where you're receiving that. On this screen you have 4 different tabs: General, SKU Detail, Scanning, and Upload. General just being where you pull up the purchase order. SKU Detail where it lists all the SKU detail if you're going to manually receive it in. Scanning if you have a scanner hooked directly to your computer, one of those wireless scanners. And then Upload if you're using a portable data collector to upload that. So we're going to start with the General. So you could manually type in your purchase order and press enter and that would bring it up, or you could use the lookup. I'm going to use the lookup and I'm going to put in part of my purchase order number and click on lookup. And since I only had one purchase order in the system that started with that, it's going to bring it right up on the screen for me. If I had other purchase orders that started with NEW, then it would bring up on a list and then I could just select it. So this is more the informational part of it. You'll see the total PO cost, total PO quantity, who it is, the purchase order number, the order date, and the ship date. You can do a discount percent here. You can add freight here. And if everything matches up, you could click on Receive Full PO, and that would just receive the PO in full right there and then. Or you can click on SKU Detail. That's going to show each SKU and allow you to receive this manually. So again, if you have a packing slip and you're just receiving this manually, it's going to list each of the SKU numbers here. So if I got in an M587NV, that's highlighted, that's the first one. And I could just scroll down to the size grid and this shows me exactly what I ordered. And if I received everything on this SKU, then I could click on the button that says Save SKU. If for some reason I didn't get a few of the sizes, maybe I did not get an 8, so I'm going to zero that out. I did not get an 8.5, I'm going to zero that out. And maybe on the 9, instead of 2, I only got 1. And everything else I got. So whatever's displaying on the screen, once I click on Save, that's what is going to be received into my inventory. I can also click on the Show Original on Orders checkbox, and that will show me what was originally ordered in green down below. I'm going to go ahead and save this, so I click on Save SKU. And the Alert Center message will come up stating you have not received all of the items on order for this SKU. Would you like to cancel the balance of the unreceived amounts for this SKU? And I'm going to say no because I expect to receive the balance in the next week or so. That way it'll keep what I did not receive on order. That way I can receive it the next time I get it in.